Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. It is Thursday evening, and this evening we are talking various things, but mainly what was hidden, what's been covered, and stuff. Because when I was speaking to Mandy today in the office, and I'd said, "Oh, this big speech about the net zero changing in the UK," and she's like, "Yeah, what have they hidden?" And I had actually gone online and gone to the government website to see what they'd hidden. And I couldn't find it, but I was at work, so there are limits. And it seems that what was getting glossed over was the online safety bill. Now, I don't know enough about it just now. I've been working all day. I haven't had time to go through it. If you want to go and look at Neil McCoy Ward or Funky Prepper, both of them have done videos on it. But basically, it pretty much exhausts your right to privacy on the internet. And although there's all the safety things, it's about revenge porn. It's about kids looking at stuff that they shouldn't see. It's about safety for various groups, etc., to try and cut down on trolls, etc. But the one thing I did see is this thing we're supposed to have digital ID. And that makes me wary because, yes, I have brought you all into my home. I accept that. I haven't told you exactly where I live. There will be some people who know exactly where I live, people who live across the road. Bear with me 1 second. I have a pussycat meowing at the back door for the third time. Come on, hurry up. Do not sit at the back door and look at me. Raven, get in. Okay, so the cat is not coming in. She's literally sitting at the back door meowing and looking at me. What can I say? So, yeah, but this, as I say, this digital ID for the internet. Now, do I want people knowing exactly where I am, what I'm doing? Depends how much of this information is going to be made available to people who request it. Because from a safety point of view, I don't want people who ask knowing where I live or knowing any more about me than they have to. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who put out content that, depending on how that digital ID goes, it may make them very, very wary. So that was sort of one point that I was having. The other thing, obviously, we've had the inflation rate dropping, so, but we've had the discussion about that. We've had the net zero, which is being changed. But this online energy bill, not online energy bill, the energy bill in the UK. I had just actually pulled up on the computer and I'd looked at one of the previous sheets I've been looking at. And there's something in there somewhere. Again, I do not have time to read these thoroughly because I'm working. But I did read bits, I sort of scanned them, and I read a bit that said that if you don't sort of go with the prescribed things, you're not allowed to modify anything, and if you don't do it their way, then they can sort of come in and make you and such things. I'm like, that's another, not liking this at all. Just not liking it. So as these things are coming together, we've got the interest rates that haven't gone up, but they haven't gone down either. And I'm like, just let me write this down. So we've got energy. So the electric is going to be controlled by the new bill. The internet is going to be controlled by the new bill. Now, with the mortgage rates going up, there's an awful lot of private rental accommodation going up for sale. And there's a lot of people shouting that the government should have places for people who are homeless, that they should make social housing. Bear with me here, I jest you not, my brain is going like 100 million miles an hour right now. So I am one of those people. I was saying that the government should create social housing. Especially when, as we saw in the comments, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about the lady in her 70s who's being evicted. You know, what is she supposed to do? And how is she supposed to get in contact with people? Because most of it now, they want you to do it online. I have to say, most people I know in their 70s aren't exactly totally really top notch online. Thankfully, whoever did it in the comments, I'm so sorry I forgot who it was, but said check with Help the Aged. They're really good with that, so that's going to be done. But a lot of people, as I say, including me, are shouting about get social housing, get social housing. And because all these private rental properties are now getting given up because of the interest rates, housing is going to be controlled. Now, I really don't normally be a conspiracy theorist, but, and this is not what this video was supposed to be about at all. I'm just going with the flow here at the moment of where my brain's going. So your housing has been controlled. Your travel is going to be controlled. Now, whether that is because you're going to have an electric vehicle, which when it's fully charged has a range of, less than 200 miles? My wee Fiesta van has a range of 500 miles on a tank full of diesel. What can I say? Notice the difference? And then you've got your 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in Wales. So, you know, you're time limited. Your timings for getting from A to B to C are now changed. You know, and to go from one end of Wales to the other is no longer a, say, 4-hour drive. It's now a 6-hour drive because of the speed limits. So there's all those things. I know that's probably not true, but you know what I mean. You know where I'm going with this. So your travel, and then of course you've got the 15-minute cities things that could be coming in. And you're like, oh, okay. So actually, not just my method of transport, but where I can go is now being controlled. Now we've already got that with, so travel is being controlled with method, but also now travel is being controlled with destination, because you've got your ultra low emission zones. Now, as I said earlier in the week, we're getting phone calls from people we work with saying, are your vans going to have to pay the ULEZ charge? Are they compliant? ULEZ is valid in Glasgow now, and we work in Glasgow. London obviously has huge ULEZ. So that's our electric, our internet, our housing and our travel all getting controlled, all in the last year or so. Not liking that. Really just not liking it. And I'm sorry if that's not what you wanted to watch the channel for, because I know I have such a variety of people who watch the channel, and I appreciate every single one of you. But sometimes things just come into my head. And this is, so now that I'm looking at this, I'm not liking it at all. So yeah. So we've got, as I say, we've got inflation has gone down, but your interest rates are still holding the same. And if you go onto Zoopla, the number of properties that are for sale that are tenanted with a sitting tenant has gone up so much in the last year or so. So there's a lot of properties where people are living they're getting evicted, or they're having to hope that their new landlord doesn't kick them out, etc. All these no-fault evictions. We've got, as I say, net zero's changing. Now they've said that they're going to stop the landlord bill, so it's changing, but it's not stopping. And certain things will be included and certain things won't. So having looked at this, I'm now thinking that I need to get myself sorted sooner rather than later. If I'm going to move, I'm going to need to move preferably while the house prices are still relatively low. I don't want to wait until the house prices go up again, but I want to hope that the interest rates will come down a bit. I'm going to be prepping more. You know I am. And it's going to be long-term storage, because if these things happen, I don't know how it's going to work out. And I'm so sorry, my brain is just fried at the moment. But yeah, the actual subject of this video was who shouts the loudest. That was what I was going to talk about. And what that was about was who shouts the loudest because net zero's been changed. And was that because someone shouted loudest? And then you have the online safety bill. And what worries me there is who's going to shout the loudest? How easy is it going to be to cancel someone? Now, there are some people who I genuinely think should be cancelled, or at least should be held to account, shall we say. Not so much cancelled, but held to account. But I don't think we should have a sudden pile-on. I don't think that's the right way to do it either. So, and the question is, who is the person who's going to be in receipt of the pile-on? Who's the person who's going to be the supposed baddie? Who gets to decide that? Because at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, it's the person who shouts the loudest. And I don't really think that's the right way to do it. And then, of course, because I started looking at the net zero and the online safety, then I started going, and as you can see, electric, internet, housing and travel. Well, that didn't end up being the happy chappy video I thought it was going to be, did it? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right, I'm going to go make some tea, and I'm definitely doing chocolate biscuits this time, and hopefully the cat will come in because I can hear him meowing again. So I will go now, and I will catch you later. Come on, Poop.